You well?
I'm very good, Cal. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Here we are, another week, another pod, and I know this week's been an exciting one for you because horse racing's back.
Yeah, I think any horse racing fan was really pleased to see it return. Obviously behind closed doors at the moment, but we've got to take what we can at the moment. And it's just exciting to have it back. So it starts at Newcastle on Monday. At the end of the week, we'll finish with the Guineas at Newmarket. So really, really exciting. And we're sticking to the horse racing theme this week with we've got Crosse back on the pod, and we've got his good friend Noel Fehily joining us.
Yeah, what a combo they are. They work together, Crosse and Noel, but you couldn't get two more different people. But they seem to make it work.
They do seem to make it work. Yeah, we always say, I don't know how Noel puts up with Crosse and how he has done for all these years, but we're going to get them on, find out how that relationship works, and we're going to chat a bit about Noel's career, obviously a stellar career in the game, and then we're going to chat to him a bit about what he's been up to since retirement. But you've been involved a little bit in what he's been up to since retirement.
Yeah, so he set up the Noel Fehily Racing Syndicate, which has given people like me the opportunity to own a share in a racehorse. And actually, it's so much fun. Him and Crosse, they run it really, really well. And it's so insightful. And we've had some great days out.
Let's get him on. Let's find out a bit more.
Let's get him on. Do you want to kick off by finding out what you've been doing post-retirement?
I've been fairly busy. You know, I've got a lot of horses around here, youngsters. I've been breeding a few while I was still riding, and got a lot of youngsters coming along. So I've been busy at that. And then we started the Noel Fehily Racing Syndicate. So we've had that on the go. A lot of horses back in the yard now on their summer holidays. So that's
you've had a lot of grey. You seem to have gotten a lot of grey hairs since I started helping you out a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure, is it you or my missus? One of the two of you are giving me a lot of grey. I'm looking at pictures when I retired. I definitely wasn't as grey as this anyway a year ago.
It's definitely.
I'd say your missus has a lot to do with that now. I'll be perfect.
No, I've known Crosse since September. It's definitely the Crosse effect. My hair. Look what I've had to do to it.
Well, Callum,
you're right.
Callum had a beard and slightly longer hair the last day. Look what his missus did to his hair. Look.
Do you know what? I don't want to turn it on to me, but it saved me a fortune in wedding costs because that's now off as a result of this.
Don't worry.
I also don't think you're one to talk, Crosse. Look at the state of that on the top of your head. It looks like a bird's nest.
Yeah.
You probably. But when we've been cleaning off getting rid of the roof on the house, we've found quite a few bird nests up there now, to be honest. And
there's a third one there.
Landed on your head.
Yeah, exactly. So Noel, the syndicates, I'm really interested about this, obviously, because I've got a little bit of a vested interest. But was that always the plan as you were coming up to retirement, or was it sit down after retirement and that was what you decided to do?
No, it wasn't. It was only in the last sort of weeks when I announced my retirement. A couple of people mentioned it to me about doing a syndicate, and then kind of a few days after it, I was. It's been mentioned quite a few times actually, and then I got talking to David about it, and we decided we'd do it together, and that's how we got it started really. But it was mentioned sort of in the weeks as soon as I mentioned that I was retiring, it just seemed to crop up a couple of times, and David had sort of been involved in a previous one, and he knew a little bit more about it, so we went down that road and got it started. But it's taken off a lot quicker than I expected it to.
I did tell you, Noel, we'd have 100 horses in 5 years' time, of which you laughed at me. But I think you're probably coming around to that way of thinking now, are you?
Well, I'm not sure that many, but yeah, it's going well anyway.
And how many of you chaps got at the moment?
We're on the 9th one now, so yeah, it's going really well. Like we started last August, September time. Looking. And,
we didn't even have a horse then, did we?
Didn't have a horse, no, exactly. We spent ages looking for the first one, which was Pride of the Kale. He went and won first time out for us in market race, and then a very wet day, and it just seems to
going racing that day, Noel. I remember Noel picked me up, or no, I picked him up in Warwick. We were driving up there, and there was just absolutely torrential rain. We were like, "There's no way it's going to be on." We weren't until the second last race, something like that, and we were getting the messages through, like inspection before racing, after the first race, after the second race, and we were just thinking, this is perfect for Pride of the Kale, but it probably should have been called off, but it worked out great. But watching that race, How did you feel? Well, I know how you felt because I felt the same way. But how did you feel watching that race?
Well, I think, like you were saying on the way there, we're thinking, well, the ground is absolutely perfect for him. Fergal had been very happy with the horse, and Fergal's horses were absolutely flying at the time. So you're wanting it to go ahead because you think everything is in order. And then when the race did get going, it was as exciting watching it as it was, probably more exciting watching it than it was being involved in a big race riding.
I wouldn't say the word exciting, Noel. I would say the two of us were absolutely cacking our pants.
So early in the race, I was cacking my pants. But then as we turned in, you could read Paddy's body language. He was going well. And then it was just a case of, please, something don't go wrong, because he did look like he was going better than everything else. So, it was unbelievable day. Yeah.
So you're talking about the nerves and the excitement there. And it sounds like, Noel, you said it was more nerve-wracking than riding one in a big race yourself. Was that because it was the first one, or genuinely every time you watch one of your Syndicate horses run, it's more nerve-wracking?
I think every time I watch Syndicate horses run, I think it's more nerve-wracking.
Wow.
When you're riding, you're in control of it, and you do it day in, day out, and it becomes just the norm.
You don't think about it, yeah.
Not really. You're riding 7 days a week, big races on a Saturday every week. It just becomes a norm. I never really got that excited about big races. I probably needed big races to get me a little bit excited. But watching them, you're just, once the horse leaves the parade ring, you're not in control, and it's that's the bit that gets you going, I think.
And as well, boys, it's the amount of work that goes into like selling out title shares, finding the right horse, everything. Like as a jockey, getting on the horse, turning up, and you're galloping the horse around the field, is one thing, or whatever. It's all the work that we put in to getting that horse just there on the race day.
You don't have that control. You're just watching.
So you're putting your faith in another jockey, and I actually want to talk about one of the races. One of the horses you had race was I Better Go Now, and you crazily put your faith in a jockey called David Crosse. So was every other jockey in the world busy that day or something, or how did that come about?
Well, it was Cheltenham Festival week.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we won the Sayers Hurdle, but it was in Doncaster, not at Cheltenham. But to be fair, Cal, and even bring in Jack here, probably even either of you boys never sat on a horse before, no. But either of you two boys would have probably won on that horse that day.
Oh, wow.
It's really funny because a lot of my mates, as we've said before, I'm not a racing expert by any means, but I know a little bit.
By no means, by the way.
By no means. And I admit that, Crosse, don't worry. Don't have to dig me out every time. But a lot of my mates come to me around Cheltenham time and say, Jack, have you got any, what's your fancies for today? And that day at Cheltenham, I think it was a Thursday, and I sent over a few tips. I think I had Simply the Bets, Concertista, so we had a good day. But I said my nap of the day, without a doubt, is I'd Better Go Now at Doncaster. And everyone was like, why are you backing a horse at Doncaster? And I think a lot of people owe me some beers after that day, and I think we all need to return them to you guys.
Yeah, it couldn't have worked out better. I was at Cheltenham, and quite a few of the members were at Cheltenham as well. So we all watched in the Champagne Bar, and we're all in the corner watching a race at Doncaster. And when the horse crossed the line, we're going absolutely berserk. And I think everyone was looking at us thinking, what? The races are over at Cheltenham. Why is everyone going mad?
I think there's some good footage that Crosse might be able to send us, and we can insert it. There's some good singing, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. So is that the plan, to use Crosse as a jockey, or was that literally desperation stakes?
I was desperation stakes.
Brilliant. So, because I'm an absolute novice, as much as Jack's no expert, I'm even worse. How do you go about finding the right horse? Because you've had some great success with the horses already. So you clearly have got an eye for this, and you're doing it the right way. I know you don't obviously want to give away your trade secrets, but how are you doing this?
Well, we're looking at horses that are sort of the right age, the horses that are progressing. And then we're obviously lucky both of us can go and sit on the horses, and we've
that's the key, I think, isn't it?
A little bit of experience between us. So I think we both sort of have a golden rule that we both have to like the horse. If one of us doesn't like the horse, we don't buy them. And I think that is probably the key to it. That if both of us sit in the horse and we both get the feeling we both like it, then like think somewhere along the line that we're getting some sort of a feeling off the horse. And then if they have the right age, the right profile,
and ready to kick on
like
with as well.
Yeah, we like to try and get horses that are, have a couple of seasons racing in them, progressing, and that's the kind of things we work on. And luckily, so far, it's worked really well. So, we've a lot of new horses now for next season, and again, a lot of them have some nice form already. So you'd like to think if they progress next season, we're really looking forward to it. We got a nice team of horses.
Because I think from the start there, boys, we like the horses we end up buying. We're not going to buy them unless they can go win their novice hurdles and then progress to being chasers. Like that's the type we want. We don't want any unraced horses as such, because it could take 2 years to find out they're no good. We want owners are in for 2 years, and we want to give them 2 years of great fun and plenty of winners along the way, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
All the people that have come in, they all want to see their horses racing. So we've concentrated on horses that are, not far off of running, or, they're not, not going to be sitting around for months while everyone's sat there waiting to see what's going to happen. But it's, barring injuries or something, they're ready to go horses, and we hope people will get plenty of fun out of them.
Yeah, let's not talk about injured horses. How is my friend Trail Boss?
Yeah, he's all right. He's just you're one of the unlucky ones with him, but hopefully he'll be back.
Do you know what? Just and I can speak from experience. You guys are totally going about this the right way, and as you said, we've had some bad luck with Trail Boss, hasn't actually been able to run, but the fun and the knowledge I've gained from just doing this you guys are going about it the right way.
Yeah, I would say, like Cal, like obviously your horse hasn't got to run, he got a touch of a leg and that, but obviously myself and Noel sorted a free lease deal on a horse called Look at a Draw, who was we only got to run once due to the coronavirus, but not even that you're involved with him. Like every time we have a runner, I'd like to think you'd feel part of the team as such. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we tried to set out to do, isn't it, Noel?
Yeah. I think we like to try and make it fun. It's not just about the day of racing either. We've had mornings on the gallops with different trainers, and sort of being involved other ways. But obviously, going racing is the in whatever one wants. But try and make it as much fun in other ways as we can as well.
For me, going to Charlie Mann's yard for that 2 hours and just experiencing that whole thing was such a great experience and so much fun, and I got loads from it. And you spoke about the
2 hours in 2 hours in Charlie Mann's yard. Now that is an experience.
Two bacon rolls. 2 bacon rolls as well. I was delighted.
Yeah, well looked after.
Well looked after. You spoke about the nerves on the day. That day that Luck of the Draw ran, I was so nervous, more nervous than when I watched my football team play. It was mental.
Yeah, it's great that you're getting nervous, but then you're enjoying it. So that's what you want. You want your owners to be nervous and feeling the buzz of it.
Yeah, if you don't get a buzz from it, there's no point. If you don't get a buzz, there's no point being alive. Like that day, Sammy came out and to the parade ring and like told you exactly what he was going to do, and just try and finish as close as he can. And then the way the horse was out the back to start with, and then he picked up the pieces up the home straight. Like it doesn't always, like he had a plan in his head and it came off and the horse finished third and he ran a cracker off career high mark. But it doesn't, in a race, Noel, and you know it doesn't always work out like that, does it?
Oh, it was a brilliant ride by Sam. He knew the horse obviously well, and he had all his options weighed up, and his plan was to do what he did, and he pulled it off to perfection. He couldn't have got the horse to finish an inch closer than he did. He saved every bit of ground, every bit of energy, and it was just one of them rides that when you're trying to pick up the pieces, it's exactly how you should do it.
It was lucky. Like that was. It took Sam 4 rides to get ride as a winner as well, Noel. So he's operating on 25% strike rate.
He's not like you, Crosse, is he?
I think he's got a better one than him already.
Had to get that in, didn't you, Crosse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you touched on Cheltenham and being there in the champagne bar this time rather than out on the track, and this was your kind of first Cheltenham where you weren't riding. Did you obviously I imagine you had a great time in the champagne bar, but did you miss not being out on the track?
I did. Even going into Cheltenham on the first day, I was walking in and saying hello to people and chatting away, and I found myself I was walking towards the weigh room without even realising I was doing it. But and then I've always been fairly involved in the first day, and I think it's the first time I've ever watched the Supreme Novice from the stands. And when you're down at the start in the Supreme Novice, when the tape goes back, you can actually hear the roar of the crowd.
Absolutely.
To be in the stands and actually witness it was unbelievable, really. How excited people get for the first race.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's the only race I came out the bar for was the Supreme Novices, just to hear that first roar, and then I was back inside for the rest of the day.
You have to do that. The roar that goes up, especially for the first day, that puts the hair standing on the back of your neck. So it does.
Unbelievable, yeah, unbelievable the way the cheer. You say you can hear it down at the start, but then you can't hear a lot else after that. But you always hear the roar on the first day and the first race.
So no, you've ridden in some huge races, and you've ridden some brilliant horses. What is there a sort of when you look back on your career, is there a moment that you think that was almost the pinnacle for you?
Look, I was lucky enough to ride obviously a lot of good horses, but I suppose any winner at Cheltenham is fantastic. I was watching someone put a rerun of Rock on Ruby's Champion Hurl on Twitter last night. I enjoyed watching that again. I haven't seen it for a while, but that was a massive day that day, and winning a Champion Hurl for the second time over there, that was massive. But I think probably if I was one that will always live with me, I suppose, is Silvio Conti winning his second King George.
Yeah,
back to back King Georges. I think the performance he put up on the second King George was massive. He practically made all that day. It wasn't the plan going out to make the running. I thought Q-Card would make the running, and they decided to hold him up. And I ended up having to make the running. And to make all and win a King George, I think it's a very difficult thing to do. But to do it the way he did, I think that was probably his career high performance that day. And it was a race growing up at Christmas time. You always watch the King George on Boxing Day, and to win back-to-back King George, I think it was pretty special.
Yeah, some horse to do it, especially with you on its back.
He was good, wasn't he?
No need for that, Crosse.
Hey,
need.
Cal, Jack, both of you would have won on him that day, I reckon.
Oh, that's two winners I've ridden
already. Yeah, exactly. Buzzing.
Yeah, he was good.
Guys, I want to touch on you two as a friendship. You guys have known each other for a long time. How did that come about? And Noel, how have you put up with him for all that time?
It's been tough. I met him on a bridge in Waterford.
Yeah.
I was coming back. When I came to England, I came over as an amateur, and I was a little bit unsure about the whole coming to England thing, because I was riding Pint of Pints in Ireland. I was starting to ride a few winners Pint of Pinting, which is a pretty big thing in Ireland as an amateur. Pint of Pinting in Ireland is pretty, is big, and I was starting to ride a few Pint of Pint winners, and I was asked to come to England for the Charlie Mann. Kevin O'Ryan, the presenter at the races, Sky Sports Racing now, he was Charlie Mann's amateur, and he had left to come back to England or back to Ireland, and there was a vacancy for an amateur, and then I was asked to come over. So I came over. And
Kevin, he had to leave because he was asked to ride. He was a good amateur rider and that, but he was asked. They kept asking him to ride in chase races over here, but he didn't. He only liked riding in bumpers and hurdle races. So he just moved right over. So instead, basically, he was shitting himself, and he moved home and just rode in bumpers in Ireland, which is probably more terrifying than riding in a beginner's chase.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I came across as an amateur, and there was no racing in England on Sundays then. So I carried on in England in the week, and then I used to go home on a Saturday night, ride Pint of Pints on the Sunday, and come back again Sunday night and back to work on Monday morning. So I was driving back this weekend, and David decided he was coming to work for Charlie Mann. So I think it was probably his dad rang me.
I was coming for a week's trial then. I think
you'd been riding somewhere that day.
I was riding in Limerick, at the old Limerick track in the centre of Limerick City.
You rode the bumper, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I picked him up on a bridge in Waterford and brought him back, and haven't been able to get rid of him ever since.
Was he wearing one of those disco shirts that day?
Yeah. What a shirt. That is Sunday best today, Crosse.
No flies anyway.
So how many years ago was that? That was what?
99, I think it was, 21 or 2 years ago.
Yeah, probably the spring of 99 around, roughly, would it be?
Yeah, I came over for a week's trial. I think it was around March, April time for a week's trial. And Noel stayed over for the week. Noel was going back riding points, went back with him again. And then I came over a couple of months after that, like in July time. I think it was the end of July then for the start of the season. And moved in with Noel. And
you didn't actually. You lived in a caravan for a week.
I did. Wait till you hear this. I lived in a
Scottish fella called Rob in a caravan with his dog.
Yeah, what was the dog's name? Do you remember? No,
I don't remember.
I can't remember. Scottish Willie. So our Scottish Rob. Do you know from The Simpsons, the Scottish lad, the crazy Willie?
Oh yeah.
Fell on it. Basically, this lad, his dog, at the back of Charlie Mann's mucky, there was a caravan. You wouldn't put a dog in it literally anyway. So I lived in there for a few weeks when I first came over.
Yeah, I just bought a house and you were moving in, but I hadn't had the keys and you'd lived there for a week. Did you good?
I had to pay him, I think, 45 quid a week. When I first came over, I was on, I think, 90 quid a week, something like that. I was only 16. I had to pay Noel 45 quid, which was a lot of money back then. But after about a year, he put his rent up from 45 quid up to 50. I bloody nearly cried. My father...
He moved out.
He was trying to get rid of you, Crosse.
Over 20 quid a week.
He moved out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm shocked he didn't double it. I would have done.
Yeah.
Best bit, we used to have some crack in Charlie Mann's. Like we had Mitch... Well, the head lad, we'll just say at the time, will remain nameless, but he loved...
You just named him.
Yeah, well, I did, yeah. But Mitch Barnard, anyway, he loved a good drink anyway, but he was a brilliant head man. But on a Friday, he used to, instead of coming back for even stables at 4 to 6, we used to come back at 3:30, just so we get finished at 5:30, 4 to 6, because they used to have a happy hour on a Friday night down the Mall Shovel, and Mitch wanted to get every ounce out of that hour. But because I was 16,
it was brilliant. It was brilliant crack. It was the best days in racing. There were great times when we were working there. It was a fun yard to work in, and yeah, it was some great memories from them days.
You remember down in the Mall Shovel, Noel, you'd have 2 pints of Strongbow. You get home that night, the room would be spinning, and the spewing would be thrown up.
And I love that you described that time as the best days racing, Noel, which we touched on earlier. You wrote some amazing winners, and the fun days were the early days with Crosse.
Oh, they were great days, yeah. We had great times there.
Yeah, I remember Noel's brother Eamon came over as well. They were probably the kind of best times we had, because it was myself, Noel, Eamon, every single night, whether we were working and doing even stables or whether we were racing, we'd rush home for the races. We used to go to the pub called The Lamb, which is shut down now, and we'd always have a couple of pints every night. We'd be rushing back from racing or wherever it was. We were always rushing back, having a few pints, and great days. We never get to do that anymore.
That's right, yeah. Them days are gone.
I'm not so sure. So am I right in saying that you were best man for Noel? Were you best man for Crosse, or was it the other way around?
No.
You not?
That was what? Sorry.
No. Sore subject.
Sorry, I missed that. What did you say there?
I thought Crosse was your best man at your wedding or whatever, but no, got that wrong.
No, you wasn't that good.
Ask me.
You wasn't that good, man.
We'll edit that bit out.
I was lucky to get an invite.
It's not like the I'd better go now situation where there was no one else left, was it?
He was on the last in the invites even.
Oh, we got an invite.
Yeah, he's just made the cut.
So that wedding was some crack though, to be fair. I remember we all went, myself and Noel, I think we were riding You get married Saturday. I think we were riding Friday night down in Fontwell. Did you come back with me? We were riding down in Fontwell and we ended up flying back from Gatwick and we landed over in Cork. We went out that night there was nowhere open. I can't remember. It was some weekend that was some weekend. I'm gonna get married more often, Noel.
Paying for it since.
As a jockey, you've done well, Noel. You've only had one marriage.
That's right, yeah.
You keep it at that.
I will if I can.
Yeah, let's not create a divorce on this podcast. That's not what we're aiming for.
No,
so,
to be fair to Noel, and he'd probably say it as well. Like the place wouldn't run without Tash. She is a fair grafter now, wouldn't you say?
The driving force.
She is the driving force, yeah.
So no, we obviously sponsor Crosse. I've known him for 7-8 months now, and I don't think I know him that well, and I want someone who's got 21 years of experience. Can you sum up the best of Crosse and the worst of Crosse?
He's very annoying at about 6 o'clock in the morning when he's trying to ring you. But no, he's a serious grafter. Puts 110% into everything. Doesn't do anything by halves, that's for sure. And he's just he's one of the lads in the wear room that probably wasn't the best rider in the world, but made a living up from the game.
But I'm getting better.
Which is we're getting better horses, I think.
Bloody hell, you rode some fair good horses in your time.
But there's a lot of lads in the wear room who are better riders that didn't make a living out of the game. He's making a living out of the game, and you can't stay far from that. He's worked his backside off, and he deserves everything he gets.
Good man. And
no, that's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me, and you will be getting a backhander later on for that.
Yeah, it's the only time you'll hear as well.
Brilliant. And then we'll end up on the killer question, Noel, for you. This is the one that's only the only one that's going to make it into the podcast. All the rest was just for our entertainment. Obviously, we're first class events, FCE. We put on hospitality days. If you could go to any event in the world and have the full FCE experience end to end, what would the event be?
A meeting I'd love to go to. I worked in America for a couple of months before I came to England, and I've always wanted to go back to the Kentucky Derby. It seems like a great occasion and a massive race. And I lived in Kentucky for a little bit, and Louisville, and I'd love to go back there. It seems like a massive meeting. It's one thing that I've always kind of been on the bucket list. I'd love to go back to the Kentucky Derby at some stage. I think I'd like to go there. So yeah, at some stage I probably will.
Sounds good, Jack. These jockeys come up with the most
exact same answers. David Crosse had the exact same one.
And also, it's just costing us an absolute fortune.
Yeah. Like Noel, you should have gone for something a little bit more expensive, because these boys said they'd put it on for free for you and all your family.
Yeah. So Crosse, what would your one-off experience be?
Oh, my one-off, if FCE were paying for the whole shebang and all that, I would get a share in the most expensive horse with Noel Fehily racing, and have him and his family entertain you and look after you for 2 years.
Come on, Crosse.
What a plug that is.
Shameless.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Noel, thank you very much. That was really insightful. Got loads out of that. Lots of fun. Crosse, thanks for turning up as always.
Cheers.
Yeah, keep bringing those disco shirts to the table. I enjoyed those.
Just for our entertainment.
You do like, well, Cal, you were commenting on my shirt the last day as well. Like, not wearing that plain.
He's basically talking about
when you wear kind of a bit of blacker clothing, like you, Cal and Jack there, and Noel as well. Black makes you look slimmer, and you boys are obviously packing a little bit, especially you, Noel. Now I noticed there you're almost getting double chin and things there as well. So just you stick to.
No wrinkles on a balloon.
I'd wear a hat next time if I were you, Crosse. That might make you look a bit more.
It's going to be a few inches longer the next day.
Good stuff, guys. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.